going to go with it because I love this.
Okay, all right,
Bethany makes
sorry.
me crack up. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 10-Minute Book Talk, where three best-selling authors talk all things bookish with you for 10 short and sweet minutes. I'm your host today, Rachel Linden, and I'm joined by my fabulous and giggly co-hostesses, Marie Bostwick and Katherine Reay. And we are here with our friend and fellow author, Bethany Turner, to talk about her new release, Wes and Addie Had Their Chance. And we always enjoy talking with Bethany because it's always hilarious, enlightening, full of heart, full of life and laughter. And Bethany, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about your new book?
Thank you. Yeah, being with you guys is always just such a highlight. Yeah, so Wes and Addie Had Their Chance is the story of two high school sweethearts, basically in love since the day they were born, essentially, who then are planning to get married at 18 before they head off to college. And Wes leaves Addie at the altar, literally disappears from town and hasn't been heard from in 22 years. Addie's moved on with her life quite well, thank you very much. But then they both find themselves, after a lot of life has been lived, back in their little town of Adelaide Springs, Colorado, where Addie's kind of running from some things, and Wes is running for president. So, yeah,
Of
a
the
lot of
United
running
States.
happening, yeah, of the United States, not of his corporation or,
Right.
For the
of his
school
club.
board.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
president
Like
of
real
the
president.
United States. He is the front runner. And yeah, that's kind of their first reintroduction to each other in 22 years after a lot of life has happened. So there we go.
There we go.
Love
Good setup
that.
for a rom-com.
Uh,
Huh.
so I had a question about Adelaide Springs. Now you've set several books there. So I'd like to know, it's two-parter. Okay, so the first part is like, how did you come up with this town and what keeps bringing you back to it book after book?
What really, okay, so Wes and Addie's story was actually the first one I wrote, like 10 plus years ago.
No
And
way.
yeah, and I could never get a publisher to pick it up because politics. And to which my response was always, it has nothing to do
It
with
has no
politics.
politics.
He's a politician.
Right.
Politics does not play into this book. So when I kind of started moving on, there was no intention of it being multiple books or anything like that. But I finally kind of just gave up on Wes and Addie's story, but I didn't want to give up on the town. And
Mhm.
so, because I just loved all the supporting characters that had kind of been part of that in my head for, like I said, more than a decade. And so then I wrote what became Bren and Sebastian Hate Each Other, set in that town. And so then, of course, at that point, I've
Ah.
spent two books with this town, even though still thinking no one's ever going to read that
Mhm.
other one, and I was in love with them. I loved them. They're kind of quirky. It's just ridiculously
Mhm.
small town. I mean, as far as everybody knows everybody to the extreme. And I just had so much fun with them. And so then once I had written Bryn and Sebastian's story, like I said, I'd given up and yet trying to kind of keep the door open a little. And thankfully that worked enough that then I got to kind of ease in with these other two characters who were supporting characters named Cole and Layla. And so I got to write them. And then by that point, it was like I dropped enough breadcrumbs that there was really no choice but to write Wes and Addie's story. And they finally let me do it. So,
Okay.
yeah, but it was all because of the town from the get-go. I loved them.
I love that. Okay, so you've got a great town, but you've got, and I don't want to give anything away with Addie's career, but she had a very high stakes career.
Hmm.
Clearly, uh, candidate for president is sort of a
Yeah. West
unique
is
job, etc. So these
West
high
is high stakes
stakes
too.
careers, number one, I'd love to know how you did your research on those two, and then bring them to life in this situation because I can't imagine, these fish bowls, these microscopes, all this stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, I have such a fascination. Usually I'm such a pop culture girl. as we know. And as we were
Which
talking
I
about
love.
everything that grounds me. And so, I've always been fascinated by usually more of that entertainment business side of it. But I really did discover that the political, more serious fishbowl, as you said, was really very similar as far as how I approached it.
Hmm.
Real life, I don't know. Um, but, and as far as research, I got the nicest compliment from a reader who her husband's actually involved in the Washington scene and all of these different things. And she gave me the nicest compliment about how realistic it was and was so impressed with the research I had done. And I'm thinking, literally, I just binged The West Wing for the third time.
That's all you need.
That's all
That's
you
all
need.
you need.
There you
That's the
go.
political life we all want to be
That's
living.
right.
West
Throw
Wing.
in some Madam Secretary, a little bit of scandal, you have it,
You got it.
Little deep, little deep.
Good to go.
That's it. So, I mean, honestly, that's most of my research. Although I did do more than I usually do to try to, be true about a lot of these things. And my husband, who knows how much I wing research, when he was listening to the audiobook and it says something about how many electoral votes South Carolina has, and he was like, "That's right." I'm like, "I know. I didn't make that up, I don't make everything up." I did look up how many electoral votes does South Carolina have. I could manage that. So, yeah.
They're just sitting there like,
Love it.
this number. Yeah, that sounds right.
Fine. Sure, let's go
Wing
back.
it.
That's hilarious. Okay, so I'm a huge fan of rom-coms. I'm a huge fan of love stories. And I feel like sometimes, and I think this is changing, but in years past, rom-coms get kind of written off as being fluffy, like fluffy, light diversions when you want an escape from life. And there is a part of it that's true. That's why we read them. But every story has a deeper meaning. And am just wondering if you can talk to us about what the deeper themes are in this one.
Yeah. Um, I feel like, I mean, this is in a lot of ways the hardest as far as what my characters have gone through, hardest thing I've ever written. And, we deal with, I mean, obviously we're dealing with the forgiveness aspect of being left at the altar and being betrayed by someone you loved and all of that. But then we're dealing with death of spouses. We're dealing with alcoholism. We're dealing with some PTSD, honestly. And I mean, it really, the thing is, I get the question sometimes of, because I love putting stuff like that into the package of a rom-com. Like that's my absolute favorite thing to do. And I get the question of, are you leading with the issues you want to focus on? And it's like, no, never. I never start a book that way. It's just when you get to know the characters, it's like, oh, well, this is why they are the way they are. And we all
Mhm.
have these pasts, we all have these hurts and the damage that's been done to us and the damage we've done to others. And I think, the best way to do, I mean, I think laughing and loving is the absolute best way to try to tackle those topics, for me personally. So so yeah, this one we have a whole list of them and it's some pretty rough
Hmm.
stuff, but ultimately I feel like it's a story of forgiveness and redemption and second chances, and not just in the second chance romance way, although definitely, but
Mhm.
the second chances we give each other, I think, is really what comes into play. So yeah.
Mm. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving the rise of the emotionally intelligent rom-coms that we're seeing. I feel like this fits into it. I just love it because it feels like, I mean, it's true to life. Like so much of our healing comes in relationships, and our healing comes when we are loved by someone else who sees our value. And so I love
Absolutely.
that. I love that we're seeing that more and more. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Okay, Bethany Turner, I have one last question for you. Are you
Yes.
ready? We ask it to all our authors. Here we go.
Okay.
Bethany Turner, for $200,000. No, not really.
Oh
Like
no.
Jeopardy.
Forget it
What
then.
is bringing?
Price
What
is
is
right.
bringing you? Price is right. What is bringing you joy today?
What is bringing me joy today? Honest to goodness, and this is such a superficial answer, but it's this fan
Oh,
that's
good.
flying right on my face right now with cool air. I'm
Shut up.
not even joking. I'm in my happy place because
Like
there is
loving the fan.
air I'm not a summer girl, so
That's okay. Me neither.
I'm
Yeah.
just so anxiously awaiting fall. And so cool air, cool nights. People are starting to kind of crave a little bit of pumpkin, you
Uh-huh.
know. So, but yeah,
This is
literally
making me feel happy.
it's the
Okay.
fan that's 2 feet from my face right now.
No one has ever said that. That is a very unique
That's a
answer. And I'm
first.
so
That is a
glad.
first. Yeah.
That's the first turn. I love it.
Well,
All right, folks. Well, if you are looking for an emotionally intelligent rom-com set in adorable Adelaide Springs featuring, now we know, the original Adelaide Springs
Yeah.
cast of characters who we are now getting to meet, you are going to want to go out and pick Wes and Addie Had Their Chance. You will enjoy it. Perfect for a late summer read. Take it to the beach, put it in your beach bag, put it in your vacation, whatever you're doing. If you're sitting in front of a fan, enjoying some cool air, dreaming of pumpkin, this book is the book for you for right now.
Like
So
that.
we encourage you to go out and get it. And thank you, Bethany, so much for joining us.
Thank you
And
all.
thank you all. Thank you all for being with us. And we'll see you next week for more 10-minute book talk fun.
bye, guys.
Bye-bye.